This is a short tutorial to show what is meant by layers in Photoshop and Photoshop Elements. As you can see, I've drawn a picture here of a young lady. Over on the right hand side we have one layer labelled background, and everything I've drawn is on that same layer. So I started off with the oval shape of the face, added skin, hair, eyes, etc, etc. It looks fine, but if I decided that I didn't like anything on there, there's not a lot I can do with it very easily. I can go to the eraser and I can get rid of the mouth, like this. You can just erase it, but as you can see, all I get is the white of the paper beneath showing through. So unless I'm going to now then paint his skin again, change the mouth, it's going to look rather strange. So by using layers, I can find a much more useful way of building up a picture or making adjustments to the photo. So I'm going to get rid of that. I don't want to save the change, and I'm going to start again. I'm going to have a new blank file. I'm going to dock it by putting it against the top line, and the first thing I'm going to do is do an oval selection in there. I'm then going to fill it with skin colour, so I'm going to go down to the bottom of the toolbar to these two squares here. I'm going to click on the top one. I'm going to get down here and find something that's roughly a European skin colour. Okay, I'm going to go to the bucket, fill it up, and there I've got my basic face. Right, that's better. My mouse stopped working there for a bit. So I'm going to deselect that because I want to work outside the selection from now on. Now that's called background. I could actually change the name of that and call it face. And I'll do that because what I plan to do is name each layer so that we can see what we're working with. So at the top of the layers menu on the right, of the layers palette, there's an icon here that's create a new layer. So I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to call it eyebrows. Eyebrows. And then I'm going to paint my eyebrows, and coming back down to the bottom left to these squares, to my original black and white squares. I'm on the foreground anyway. Go to my pencil. I'm going to make the whole image rather larger so I can see what I'm doing on it. Probably the brush rather smaller by pressing on the left hand square brackets and draw my eyebrows. Okay, got those. Right, another layer up on the top here, and I'm going to call that eyes. And I'm going to draw in my eyes. I should use black because it's just easier. And you can see I'm no artist. I'm now going to change it to white to do the whites and increase the brush size. Right. Yeah. This is not, obviously if you were doing it for real you'd be far more careful about it than I'm being, but this will do for demonstration purposes. I'm going to go back here to find an eye colour, and we'll have a pale grey eye colour. Go back in there. You could actually do a different layer for each part of the eye, but I think that might be a bit excessive actually. Then I'm going to go back to my black and stick a pupil in there. And I'll just colour it as it's all on one layer there. Very strange looking eyes, but never mind. Right, another layer. I'm going to do the nose this time. And for this I'm going to go to the left hand side to the eyedropper tool here. I'm going to click in the skin and then I'm going to go back down to my colour square, and I just want a slightly darker version of that to show up. And go back to my pencil and perhaps decrease that. There's my nose. Another layer for the mouth, and I'm going to name that mouth. Back to my colour square, nice bright red. My mouth. Ooh, she's got a very crooked mouth, but never mind. We can come something about that in a minute. Final layer, and I'm going to call that hair. And I'm going to go in here, I'm going to choose a sort of Albany colour here. Increase the size of my brush by using the right bracket, square bracket key, and here we are. Ravishingly beautiful young woman, all ready to go out on the raz. Right, there we go. Now it looks the same, I mean it's not as artistic, but it looks just the same as the image we had first on the screen. But if you'll notice on the right hand side, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. At the moment we're on hair, that's why it's highlighted in blue here. Now the concept of the layer is simply that you have your, if you like, piece of paper or your photograph at the bottom, and then on top of it you're laying transparency sheets. So one transparency sheet with eyebrows on it, another one with eyes, another one with nose, another one with mouth, another one with hair. Now whenever you do something on a layer, it only affects the layer. So let's just go back down to this mouse, which I wasn't very happy about, and let's rub that out and see what happens this time. So I've got my eraser, I'm wiping it over there, and you'll notice that it doesn't go back to the paper beneath, it doesn't affect the skin, simply has removed the mouth. Now I could make that eraser much bigger, look, and I can wipe it over the whole thing. I'm still on the eraser, as you can see on the left. Nothing is happening because all that the eraser is going to work on is this highlighted layer over here. I'm now going to go back into here and I'm going to choose a sort of purplish colour for my lips. Make the brush much smaller and try again, see if I can do any better. I haven't actually pressed on the pencil. Make that much smaller. That's a disaster. Now I can do Control Z because I've just noticed it. So I'll get rid of that. Control Z undoes anything you've just done. Do my mouth, rather lurid colour. A bit happier with that shape though than the one before. I'm going to go back to my move tool just to make sure I don't do anything else. So that's my picture. Now on these layers, you'll notice an eye at the left hand side. Now if I click on the eye, it hides the layer. So suddenly I've got a bald person. I want the hair back. I click again and it comes back. Let's have a look at the eyes. The eyes layer for the eyes. Again, I can move them, I can have them back. So what we're doing is building up the layers. Now if you save this as a PSD file, Photoshop file, all those layers will still appear. So if you have a photograph that you've made adjustments to and you've got a number of layers, and you might want to go back to it later, then you need to save it as a Photoshop or a TIFF file, and that will retain the layers. If you've finished with it and you actually want to print it out, you can print it from here, but if you want to print it out and save it as a JPEG, because that's a much smaller file, all you do is go right up to the top here, you'll see some lines, a tiny little arrow here, click on that arrow. You can either do merge visible or flatten image, and we go back to the same as we saw in the first image, we just have the background layer. If you decide after all actually you wanted to do something else, you can either do Control Z at this point and bring back the layers, or you could go up to Edit and you could undo whatever you did. So that is a very short tutorial on using layers effectively.